Welcome to the Fit Dads podcast. I'm Bradley Thompson. I'm joined by Ryan Dutton. Ryan, today we're going to be talking about expectation versus reality. The world of health and fitness can be distorted through the lens of social media and comparison. So today we'll be showing you how reality isn't all as it seems. As we know, Ryan, social media is quite fast-paced. It feels like an emotional highlight reel. And unfortunately, what's popular isn't necessarily the best. But before we dive into all that, Ryan, just want to go through a catch-up, really, mate. See how you've been.
Yes, mate, all good. Yeah, not too bad. I guess big news on my part. I ran my first running event at the weekend. Legs still recovering as we speak.
Nice.
But yeah, brilliant to be just, I guess, kind of feeling like I'm part of the running community again.
Yeah.
Which is good. So the event was fantastic. It was the Round Sheffield Run, which is 24.2 kilometres of like trail running. You do it basically in stages. So you do like maybe 2.5 to maybe 0.8k, and you'll run that section. I say run, pretty much sprint it. And then you'll walk a short distance to kind of your next stage. So different to like what you would normally get on a running, like if it was like a normal ultra marathon or half marathon, for example, you'd run the whole thing. This was sprinting, running. So I mentioned to you last time, I got to about 14k and I was thinking, I'm in some real trouble there. My legs are really heavy. I feel like some serious kind of poundage. But thankfully got there. It was definitely the most challenging run I've had so far. But loved it, enjoyed it, definitely looking forward to doing some more of those things. So yeah,
Good.
all good.
I'm jealous, mate. When I first saw you were doing it, I've always wanted to do it. But yeah, I'm currently nursing up a bit of an injury. Not CrossFit related for anyone who's bothered.
What is your injury?
Before I went away, played in a charity football game. You know, storming performance, mate.
Always football, mate.
Did really well. Enjoyed performance, and then went to go and slow down, and my groin just sort of.
That's right.
So
feeling it.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not 100% still. I can still squat, but anything, I don't know, a bit obscure like running, I'm still a bit not too sure about. But yeah, and that happened just before I went on holiday. So.
Play it safe, mate. Like groins, hamstrings, all those kind of football and style injuries. It's probably. I mean, I probably feel confident enough to go back and play football now that my knees are a bit better. I'm doing more running, but I just fear like getting a twisted ankle or going over on my knee. That just puts you out for months and months.
Yeah.
So
I think it's what you train for as well. Like I've just not trained that way for so long that when I got onto pitch, like really enjoyed it. And then as soon as I pulled up, there were a few lads on the sideline saying we had a sweepstake, like 5-1 super boost that Brad were going to come off injured. So that were pretty shit, mate.
You know, you're not in a good spot when lads are putting bets on you to kind of fail.
Mate, they would absolutely. Well, it is what it is. But what can you do? But apart from that, mate, lovely holiday on my part. Just nice and refreshed now since we've last done one of these. And
got a bit of colour, mate, I can say.
Yeah, I tried to keep hold of it.
I thought that day when I saw it at the gym, I was thinking, Christ, I have to get back in the sunbed to keep up with Brad's tan.
No, well, mate,
brilliant.
But no, apart from that, family good.
Yeah, really good. Harlow's up and about. She's moving more than ever. She's into this thing. Like her favourite thing at the moment is bouncing on the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, now I know why there's a song called "Monkeys Bouncing on the Bed" because it was to deter the kind of that kind of thing. Because like, kids are just for some reason when they get on the bed, they love the kind of springiness of it. She's obsessed with it. I mean, we'll if we leave for 2 minutes, she'll be straight in there bouncing. You can hear her springs going. That. So it's been a bit of a nightmare just trying to stop her causing chaos. Essentially, she actually also fell on Walter.
Really?
Yeah, Walter. I mean, look at where he's literally asleep on the sofa right now, placid as anything. The most casual dog you'll ever come across. But she fell on his leg, and I felt his pain. You know, he's a slender lad. He's a whippet, so he's got he's skin and bones basically. Any kind of impact on him, he's going to feel it. And he just barked at her like I've never seen him bark.
Really?
Yeah, just out of instinct because it was so shocking.
Wow.
Luckily, he didn't cause any damage, but we need to be aware of that because it's like kids, isn't it? They don't really know what's going on. They're not aware of the surroundings and. She's a bit clumsy, so no more monkeys bounce on the bed for us.
That's it, mate. That's it. But no, as long as you're all good, mate.
Yeah, how's your family? All good?
They're good. Teddy's discovered that if he wants to keep his hair out of his eyes, because he's still got quite long hair.
Yes, lovely head of hair.
He can wear.
I'm jealous actually.
Like a Grealish style headband. I'll show you a picture in a bit.
Cool.
It was really cool, to be fair. So we've experimented with that this weekend, and he loves it. Brilliant. He's like, Daddy, I can play, but my hair doesn't go in my eyes. I'm like, do you know what else would be good? If you cut your hair.
Is he reluctant to get his hair cut?
He is. I think he only wants one person to cut it.
Right.
And their availability is a little bit slim. So if we miss that window, it's like, oh, right, here we go.
Yeah.
But
he's got a great head of hair, mate.
it's cracking, mate. Yeah, it's cracking.
Harlow actually did a second haircut this past weekend. So my mate started dating. Basically, he started dating his hairdresser.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's known for like 7 or 8 years because he's been getting the haircut at the same place. Yeah. And they've hit it off amazingly, and they're kind of pretty much serious now. So, but the issue is, she's now cutting his hair, all our mate's hair, and then Amy's ringing her up going, "Can you cut Harlow's hair?" So it's come with a bit of baggage, this relationship. But it looks great. Her hair was like literally in her eyes, and it's annoying. Like you can see when she's running around, it's like getting in her eyes, and she's got a proper fringe now. Not I don't want to say a mop, but it's not far off that at the moment. It needs a bit more length down the back. It's looking a bit Jim and Rosa, you know, Rosa.
Jim and Rosa.
You know, Rosa had the kind of weird straw-like hair.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's a bit like that. But yeah.
Fair one. Yeah, I'm sure it'll sort itself out, mate. But
yeah, she's again just got a great head of hair. But it's weird. It's mousy brown. Mine's really quite dark brown. It's dark brown. It will change over time.
Maybe.
Her eyes started like kind of a greeny colour. Now they're going a bit darker.
It's a weird one, that, isn't it? Like Ted is basically my clone. I apologise to Amy a lot that she just birthed my clone, because he's literally got Amy's chin, and as far as you can see visually in his face, that's it. It's just the rest is me. So I do hair colour, eye colour. So I don't know if anyone else can relate to that from eldest son.
That must be so weird, mustn't it? I mean, we were talking before the pod about how weird it is when, like, people, when your kids start talking back to you, this little thing that you've created who has no concept of anything, and now starts telling you, this morning she was going, "I want toast." And I'm like, she's talking back to me, she's telling me what she wants now. It's a phenomenal moment. But also, when that person starts looking like you, and acting like you as well, that must be really creepy in a way.
Scary. You realise how annoying you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realise I had that many bad traits.
Yeah, there's loads, mate.
Right, should we get into expectation versus reality today?
Shall we, mate? I wanted to sort of kick off this one by saying it is customer-led, a lot of platforms, so like social media, the algorithm and the content that people produce, it's very consumer-led. So anything that you see, in theory, is things that people want to see, not maybe what they need to see.
Yeah.
So I sort of wanted to get that out there first, and I always say this to people, but if you've not got any boundaries around social media, it will own you, just because this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Absolutely.
And it's basically geared towards tapping into your dopamine system, essentially, giving you quick rewards, funny stuff, emotional stuff, just watching people get hurt, just daft stuff where you think, why is this on my newsfeed?
There's millions of videos getting uploaded a minute, isn't there, Richard, across all social media. So, this expectation versus reality episode kind of stems from a bit of a conversation I had about with a client, basically, where he was saying he was just getting a little bit deterred about where he thinks he should be in terms of some of his lifts, and also how he thinks he should look. Your performance and your physique are something you're only going to compare to those online. And I've got a little bit of a theory. Do you want to hear my theory?
Let's go for it.
Before social media, you would only compare yourself to the immediate people in your environment, whether that's friends, family, people at the gym, for example. The pool of comparison was actually quite small, wasn't it, back in the day, before social media? But now, you go online, and there's a 16-year-old girl in Lithuania over pressing your max deadlift. Do you know what I mean? That's the reality of it. It's shocking how widespread the talent is and how widespread the exposure is of social media. So if you spend a lot of time online, your reference for comparison is essentially against the best in the world. And of course, with the algorithm, as you mentioned, it's going to push the most viewed content, which is most likely to be the gold standard in whatever you're into. And that's not just health, fitness, weights, the way you look, but you get it with girls. I mean, there's so many girls are depressed and have anxiety because they're comparing themselves to the Kardashians. They're comparing themselves to the most beautiful people with filters and makeup. And I mean, makeup can literally change you into anyone you want to be nowadays. It can change your face completely, your features, this contouring business that everyone's doing now. So it spreads across lots of different industries, but it all stems back to comparison. And if what you're into is lifting and the way you look, it's really easy then to fall into the trap of thinking that your physique and your lifts are completely inadequate. I guess it's really easy to say, well, just spend less time online. But I think a better approach, I personally think, is journaling your progress. Record your lifts every session, or at least make notes of your top lifts, date them, and see where you are in 6 months. Being able to look back on where you were 6 months ago, a year ago, is great for keeping in the forefront of your mind how much progress you're actually making. That's just my general theory about where things are and potentially how you can overcome some of this expectation versus reality.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, everything you've said, I've got similar examples noted down. Shout out to one of my clients who's basically created a private Instagram page where he just documents his progress. He puts training videos on there for himself. He does like monthly reviews, and his newsfeed, the people who he follows, he just sees their content. He never goes on the explore page on Instagram.
Amazing.
He just says, "I see
that takes
what."
Some willpower.
Yeah, I don't know. He's still got his personal account,
Yeah.
but he's just got like his gym progress account. And I don't know if it's a bit of a, dare I say, like a younger thing to do. You know, like this page is just for me. You know, which is great, and I admire it. But it also gives you the information from people you admire and nothing else.
But the platform itself, whether you're looking to connect or not, it'll really promote connections.
Yep.
So it will promote your videos if you're doing really well. Let's say you are looking, let's say you don't like anything, you've really limited what you can see, because you can limit certain posts, can't you, and things like that, but it will always recommend stuff on your timeline.
It will.
Really, it's about how much you're, quote unquote, doom scrolling, essentially. And if you are on your page posting stuff, how easy it's to go into your timeline and just start scrolling. And even if you follow no one, there's going to be suggested posts there. People are going to come up, and those people that are going to come up are, again, the best in the world. Yeah,
agree. And I think, sorry, you're still making me laugh with that 15-year-old Lithuanian pressing my deadlift. I think I've just flashed back to like the lowest point in my life.
I can tell it's definitely happened. You've opened Instagram one day and go, damn, why is that girl doing an unbelievable lift? I need to reevaluate my whole gym situation.
They've just snatched my entire family's body weight.
Yeah. But it was, I think there's some girl in Canada that I see online quite a lot now. She's an Olympic lifter. And she is doing like 60, 70, 80 kilo snatches. And I'm not 100% sure on her age, but I think she's around the 13, 14 year old.
Really?
And
wow.
The funny thing is, her technique isn't nailed though. She has a bit of what you call knee valgus, where as you kind of land your snatch or you go down into a squat, your knees basically come together in the middle. She has a really quite a severe case of that, and she gets a lot of hate online from people, as you can imagine. The maggots. Do you watch what's that guy called now? Par O'Dwyer.
No.
Do you know who Par O'Dwyer is?
No.
Follow Par O'Dwyer.
All right.
He's a strongman, Irish-based strongman. He does all the British strongman stuff. He's done World's Strongest Man this year. His page is dedicated to calling out what he calls the maggots.
Is it people who comment on stuff and he's like, let's have a look at what you... He's got like a big...
bit of a beard.
Yeah.
And he goes, for example, this is Brad Thompson. He's an unbelievable lift, but the maggots didn't like it. And he just goes on, and he goes through the comments and he slates the people.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that in a way. As toxic as that is to a certain degree, it's kind of like, right, if you're going to leave a comment, you might get called out for it. Because, again, this is just another thing about social media. It might move less into an expectation versus reality episode and more into like just a slating social media episode. But no matter how good you are, even if you are the best in the world, even if your technique is perfect, you're going to get people calling you out. You're going to get people commenting. And again, that's just deterring you from these amazing achievements. And we like to think that we don't read the nasty comments, but coming back to your guy a few months ago who was commenting on your post, I could see that it really hurts you. And it doesn't matter how many people like it and you sing you praise, and you get 100 comments, but that one bad comment is the one that you take away from it. Isn't it? You'll remember that post for that one reason.
It almost feels like a survival thing where it's like, that made me vulnerable. That you put it out there and you go, societally that could knock me down. If one person thinks that, maybe somebody else thinks it. So maybe that's where it comes from. But
you can see why people in the public eye actually have to have really thick skin. Not just people who are on social media, but like celebrities and things like that. They'll have to. I wonder if they've got coaches, psychological coaches, who just basically say, "Look,
just forget about it." Yeah, just forget about it.
Maybe it's Par O'Dwyer.
Maybe,
He's a maggot. Don't listen to him.
I think to sort of bring it back to like expectation versus reality, I've had a few experiences that's shifted my own expectation to like what reality is. I think it's Jim Rohn. He had an audio book where he spoke about something called a paradigm shift. And ever since I heard this this phrase, paradigm shift, it really stuck with me because I've had a few of those where basically you think one way and then something happens and you think almost instantly a completely different way. I may have told you this story, mate, about the time that I tried to buy a homeless guy a burger.
No.
Why not? This was the biggest expectation versus reality shift that I've ever had.
Okay.
So there was a guy sat outside a bus stop outside McDonald's. He had like a blanket across him, a cup in front of him. I thought, I'll do something nice. I'll go and get him a burger. So I've got a burger. I've brought it back out. I says, there you go, mate. And he looked up at me and he went, what the fuck is that? I went, it's a burger. And I went, yeah. And he went, I'm not homeless. I'm just cold. So mate, he's got his jacket. He's got his jacket across his legs, and he's got a coffee cup in front of him. And
that's a ground swallow me up right now moment, isn't it?
And in that moment, I needed to catch that bus as well. So I just took burger and walked to the next bus stop. I just thought, this is crap.
I feel for you in that moment.
Mate, honestly, and that's not annoyingly the only thing that's ever happened to me. Expectation versus reality. So this is confession corner now, but I once at EIS in Sheffield. I'd just been made a duty manager, so I'm Charlie Big Balls, So we're putting up this massive flagpole outside for this big event going off. And this guy comes into the car park a bit fast, turns his car into a disabled bay, a bit of a Chavi Corsa. Okay. All right, so he's pulled it into disabled bay, and I've looked at my gaffers. I've said, gaffers, I've got this. Leave it with me. I've walked up to him. I said, excuse me, mate. Can't park there. All right. He walks out from behind the car. He's got one leg.
Oh, God.
Mate, I could have died.
Oh, dear.
And to his credit, he just pointed at his leg.
Did he?
He didn't say a word. And my managers...
I guarantee he's had that before.
My managers belted me.
Did they?
Oh, God, really? For about a month, yeah.
What, in a
jesty way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. Disciplinary kind of
thing. No, just in a belt, like... They could see I was quite hyped up, and thankfully this guy took it quite well, but... It sticks with me, that, mate. So I expected one thing.
You've had some bad moments, mate.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's like, both of them things happened when I was 18, so I remember that.
Don't judge a book by its cover, Brad. That's the moral of the story there.
Yeah, and probably after that's why I'm probably quite passionate about this. So when your client brought it up, expectation versus reality, not all is what it seems. And
I'm just thinking back to the homeless guy, right?
You'd take burger, wouldn't you?
I'm imagining a different scenario where he's sat there with his blanket and a lad goes down with a fiver or something. He's got a fiver, and he goes, "Yeah, go on."
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But I wonder what the ploy was there. I wonder whether it genuinely was just a guy waiting for a bus, or whether he was acting like a homeless man. Because you get this a lot. I mean, I'm not, I don't want to kind of put shade on the homeless community, but I remember watching a documentary years ago about the homeless situation in Manchester. And around Piccadilly Gardens, they basically set up like these tents, and it was a huge issue for Manchester City Council. And what they found was there were some people who had ended up getting jobs, but weren't earning as much as they were when they were on the streets, begging basically.
Wow.
So what they would do is they'd have the full-time job, and in the evening they'd go and sit outside, but they were living in a flat somewhere. And I thought it was scandalous. I thought it was unbelievable. And they were telling me about the money they were making. I was thinking, bloody hell, man.
That sounds alright.
That sounds like a nice little part-time job.
Just pull out a card machine.
Yeah. They take card payments, by the way.
Yeah, but no, like I said, it's just one of those where not always as it seems, and you don't want to go steaming in, just all guns blazing, being like, this is what it is, because you don't know everything. There's always something behind a situation. Like, I don't know. Like, even now, people might be watching this, listening to this, thinking, Brad and Ryan are in good spirits. Man, I felt crap this morning.
Yeah.
I've had such a crap morning.
I feel like I had to pull you up a little bit this morning. You in a bad way.
Yeah.
But just kind of stemming it back to like social media as well, and the expectation versus reality. I think that a lot of it, you don't know context for these things either.
Yeah.
There's no context to one video online. You see one video of someone doing a lift, you've got no idea. We spoke about, obviously, performance-enhancing drugs quite a bit on the podcast, and how they can be warping of someone's progress, in a good way, by the way, a very good way.
Yeah.
you don't know how long they've been training for, you don't know who the coach is, you don't know, some people just are born to do stuff, just born to be climbers, and they're phenomenal. From the moment they get on a climbing wall, they just respond well to it, and other people just aren't. And unfortunately, you might get into something that you aren't amazingly talented at. You've got to work really hard to get good at it, and you're going to get people just naturally surpass you. But I think you have to also understand and come back to why you're doing it. Like, why did you get into lifting in the first place? Let's go. Obviously, we're into the gym. We're coaches. It's what we train to do. If you're into lifting, you're into the gym, you're into how you look physically. Why did you start taking pride in those things? What was the initial catalyst for that? I think when the goalposts change, it's quite tricky to not get caught up in comparing yourself. But initially, when the goalposts were really big and you had no comparison, anything was good, you enjoyed what you did. Any progress forwards was positive.
Yeah.
And you do see it a lot when people start making those pretty serious changes and the comparisons get worse. There's a girl I mentioned last week on the podcast who had some issues like with the way she saw herself and her confidence. And that same girl, same thing, she wasn't bothered when she was 20 odd stone and she wanted to lose a little bit of weight. It was just her versus her. It was her in her own mind, trying to get better, just doing everything she could every day, every week to be better. And it was great to watch that. But actually, once she started looking better and she dropped 5 stone, she's now looking like other people. You're in the same ballpark as other people. You're starting to compare yourself more and more to people that look like you. But when I think you're 20 stone, I think you write yourself up a little bit, and you just, anything matters. Any progress, like I said, is positive. So that's, again, just a real trap that you fall into once you start making some serious progress. Yeah,
I'm glad you sort of referenced that as well, and I just want to sort of blow a bit of smoke your way, mate, as well, because I've always said, for me, progress pictures just, they don't resonate with me. I'm not really bothered. My clients come to me because I'm a little bit different like that. I don't really share them, which is cool. But the ones that you share, I like how raw they are. It's like, it's the same spot, it's the same lighting, you've not distorted anything. You can see it's just, the only thing that's changed is time and the effort that they put into to look that way and perform that way. It reminded me of, you've heard of Matt Does Fitness on Instagram?
Yeah.
A legend from Gladiator. So shout out to Matt.
YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. And he put a post on a while ago now where he did a 10-minute transformation.
Okay.
10 minute. So he took one picture and he like stuck his belly out a little bit, slumped forward. Then he did a quick workout, got a bit of a pump, 10 minutes, threw water on himself, put some downlighters on him.
Right.
And flexed and...
Just looked incredible.
Yeah, looked incredible. Downlights, bit of water on him, bit of a pump. Looked great. 10 minutes.
Anyway, it is that easy.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Great point as well, that, because so many people, when it comes to their physique, are editing photos.
Yeah.
They are in great shape that day. Not many people. There was a bit of a movement. Like, I think there still is, of people trying to be more honest with how they look on a daily basis and letting people know when they're bloated and letting people know that it's not sunshine and roses with the way you look every day. You're gonna have moments where you just retain water. And I've literally probably at least once a week where one morning I get up, I look in the mirror and I go, I look like I haven't trained in this. And I'm full of water. I've got like some kind of indigestion. My belly's out, I'm distended in my gut. And it just really gets me down. But I don't dwell in it too much. I've been in this industry long enough and been doing this long enough to know that I wake up tomorrow or I have one big shit and I'm looking all right.
Done now, fine, yeah.
So, but it is that stuff, context-wise, doesn't get through to some people online.
It reminds me of that, like, how good do you look after a night out? Like the next morning when you're proper dehydrated.
Shredded.
Oh, mate, it looks shredded. I love it. Yeah.
Feeling like dog shit, but looking amazing.
It's like
that's generally the way it goes most of the time, especially with people who compete as well when they're on stage. And there's a guy at our gym at the moment I've been tracking the kind of progress of, and he's doing a really big cut over kind of 12, 16 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Phenomenal amount of weight loss and looking super shredded now, but every time I see him in the gym, when he posts pictures online, he looks unbelievable. You can see all the comments going, you're in amazing shape. Every time I see him in the gym, he goes, mate, don't talk to me. Just don't.
I've not got the capacity.
I haven't got the energy to talk to anyone right now. I'm like, you were shadowing yourself. Like, we've done some great conversations, and now he's just like, maybe a little bit more mopey, and he'll obviously come out the back end of it. He'll fill back up after he's got a photo shoot coming up. But again, the context to that, isn't there? When you look at your best, you don't always feel your best.
Well said. Well said. I did want to sort of transition into parenting because I think it's a nice little transition. But before we do, I wanted to go through a few, I suppose, strength standards, which this was probably the main thing that you brought to the table for me, where you said, right, how does squat, bench, deadlift, for example, compare?
Yeah.
From person to person, or like what's good, what's bad?
We'll come back to Dan originally, who was the guy who had the conversation with about what he thinks is this expectation versus reality. He was getting a bit down about what he was seeing online, which is, like I said, you go online and you see Larry Wheels doing 350 for reps, and it can make you feel a little bit of shit about your 100 kilo deadlift. But that's not normal, and I think it's great we've actually got some stats, haven't we, we're going to pull up about kind of what the average person deadlifts, average person, whether they're kind of new to the gym, intermediate, advanced, and not just deadlift, but squat, bench press, those kind of metrics, because this is really important that people know this information rather than just taking it off social media.
And the page that I found is called strengthlevel.com, which looks a really, really good site from first glance. You can basically have a drop-down exercise where it's deadlift. There's loads, actually. There's like pull-up, sled leg press. Like, there's all sorts of random stuff on there. But let's take like deadlift, for example. Male deadlift standards, beginner, what are we talking? Body weight ratio. If you're a beginner, you can deadlift, 1 times your body weight, essentially just your body weight. If you can pick it up, great. Novice, 1.5 times your body weight in kilos. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Elite, speaking about Larry Wheels that you said, like 3 times your body weight. It's not normal. That's like elite. It's
there's a reason that's elite.
Yeah.
And I get it. Everyone wants to strive to be the elite.
Yeah.
But the elite's very hard to achieve, and you have to be really happy with the fact that if you can do just your body weight initially in the deadlift, that's phenomenal. That's such a good achievement. It really is.
Well, we're at a bit of a crossroads now, mate, because I'm looking at this. There's an age thing you can do as well. Age, and then it tells you roughly what you can do. Are you now closer to 35 than what I am?
Oh, I am. I am. Yeah, technically. Yeah.
So your category, mate, we've got it on here. It actually tells you 30, 35.
Yeah.
Put you in advanced, mate. Or you happy going intermediate? It's up to you.
Let's go intermediate start with.
I think this is pounds, actually.
Is it deadlift?
Deadlift, yeah.
Okay.
Deadlift, which probably a bad one for you, granted the back issues.
Okay.
This is pounds, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
336 pounds, which is what, 150 something?
336 pounds.
Just for context as well. Yeah. What's that? If I have to have a guess,
152 kilos.
Mega. So you're in that ballpark, mate, aren't you?
Nah, I'm a bit past that. give me some credit. Come on.
Just think of all your running you've been doing.
I think with the way my back is right now, I'd take 150.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at previous lifts that I've done, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you're in advanced category, mate. Average. We can confirm. You're in the advanced category.
What's the advanced back? I'm interested.
440 pounds, which is 200. It might be 220 kilo actually. Which I know you've got up to before.
199.
Is it?
And a half.
I feel daft. So yeah.
So you're, I'm in the advanced.
You're in the advanced, mate. I like it.
That's what the elite is.
No.
Go on, what's the elite?
552 pounds, which.
552 pounds, which is 250 kilos. So we've clarified that I'm not elite, unfortunately. My expectation versus reality is hitting home now.
Mate, I've picked on you there just to call some stuff out, just to probably give people some context as well. Like me and Ryan trained for a long time with this sort of stuff, and people might look and be like, oh, the elite strength levels. It depends on what you train for. Like, if you're doing more running, you're probably not going to be anywhere near that deadlift of your best, and that's fine. It's just a case of knowing where you're at. But I highly encourage people check out strengthlevel.com just to see where they're at. Yeah.
I think personally, it depends what your goals are, but for the average person, they want to be pretty good at most things.
Yeah.
They want some level of fitness. They want some level of strength. And I think aiming for like the intermediate initially across everything that you do is brilliant. Just coming back to the run that I did at the weekend, I've told you the funny story about how I got on that race last minute, and I got on it because someone gave me their number. The event had sold out, and I had a client who had a friend who wasn't running, so I got his number, and when I got the email through that he forwarded to me, he was in the elite category of the runners. And now to post in the elite category of this race, you had to be able to post a sub 20 minute 5k.
Okay.
Which I don't think I can do. I'm 23 minutes, so I'll take that.
Yeah.
Now, when I lined up on the start line, we were the first wave, and I was stood there, and I was just surrounded by people in like the Harriers vests, like Manchester Harriers, Sheffield Harriers. I'm thinking I do not belong here. All built like beanpoles. I'm thinking I'm just so out of place. But the thing is, running with them the whole way through, and I did relatively well to keep up. It really pushed me. It got the best out of me, and I'm definitely not in their category, and because of the style of event where it was running and walking, I kind of kept up. If it was a complete run, they would have dusted me for sure. But I was happy with how I performed, and I left that race feeling like I held my own there. Not the best, but I held my own. And that's kind of how I strive to be across everything that I do. I'm not really looking to be an elite deadlifter. If I was to be an elite deadlifter, I'd have to get another 20 kilos and I'd have to really put all my eggs in the basket of just doing, your deadlift, squat, bench. If I was going to be powerlifting, for example. I'm not looking to be elite. If I can be advanced in my training when it comes to my running, if I can be advanced in my training when it comes to my lifting, I'm really happy with that. And we've got another episode lined up, haven't we, called basically about this very kind of fad word moment, hybrid.
Yeah.
But I do kind of strive to be in that category. I want to be great across all things, which most people do. So just aim to be in the kind of intermediate category across everything that you do, whether it's your running, whether it's your lifting. And if you can tick all those boxes, you're on a great path. A lot of the guys you see online, again, they're very into the one thing. You get Larry Wheels to try and run a 5k, I guarantee he'd struggle. You get Mo Farah to try and deadlift what Larry Wheels, and that bar would not move anywhere.
No.
So for the average person who wants to be fit, in shape, and strong, just aim for like your intermediate kind of categories. And what was that website you mentioned there for the weights?
It's called strengthlevel.com.
Perfect. Go to there, just see what the intermediate is for your age category, and just aim for that.
Yeah.
What better advice than that, for sure.
One thing that we've probably said this quite a few times over the past few weeks, but we seem to be meeting in the middle with a lot of stuff. We don't seem to be going extreme, like do this or do that. It's very much like meet in the middle, and that's not very sexy in a way, which is probably why messages like ours don't really spread that far on social, if you know what I mean, because we're not too polarising. It's like, let's just be smart, let's be measured.
But I like to think we're down to earth in terms of our expectations, and that's exactly why we're doing an episode on this subject, is it not? Right? We want to get the expectation versus reality window
100%.
nailed for everyone, because it can get really out of whack. And I think sometimes these polarising views, these polarising lifts, polarising physiques you see online, they can just skew your view and leave you feeling like shit. So we're here to say that, look, there's a standard, and the standard you're at is great, wherever you're at. Coming back to what I said about the journaling and documenting your lifts, I think that's a fantastic way of just cementing in your mind and keeping in the forefront of your actual progress you're making. So, good little tool and resource that.
I've put in quotation marks here, fancy exercises. Because if you look online, like you see some cool stuff, see some cool variations of lifts, but actually the stuff that's probably got people to do these amazing things is having those world-class basics and actually being able to move really well to a really good standard, to a really good level of control before they start progressing with really novel and fancy exercises. Like if you see someone who can pistol squat, odds are they're probably pretty strong on a back squat. Yeah. If you can see someone who can kettlebell swing a lot of weight, they're probably pretty good at deadlifting. Yeah. So you have to look at all these fancy things and then strip it back and think, what have they done to get there? Yeah. And just because it's...
If you see a girl in high heels and dress squatting 200 kilos, she can probably do it pretty well without those things on.
And just realise that's for clicks as well. That's probably why.
I clicks, so don't you worry about that.
Yeah. But and I think it's that, just understanding that whenever you see these big fancy exercises, you probably don't need them in most cases. You may as well just have some world-class basics and then build from there by being super specific. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? The expectation, this reality?
Just, I suppose, an honorary mention for parenting, because there's a lot of Insta mums and, obviously the podcast is called The Fit Dads. I guarantee there might be people pick up this episode or pick up our podcast in general and sort of think, how do I be a fit dad? Or I'm not really. I don't know. They might expect something different, if that makes sense. They might expect that it's just us sat around a table talking about how massive his arms are, and it's not. You know, we understand that.
Although our arms are massive.
Well, I mean, yours more so, mate, in that last episode. I didn't say it, but I've just never been out angled as much in my life.
He's still wearing those tight t-shirts.
Yeah, I'm jealous, mate. But yeah, I think I like parents online who share the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, they share the struggles, they share what they're doing well, and it's not condescending. You know, there's people who are parenting experts because they're clinically trained in it. If you see someone who's, you know, a stereotypical Insta mum or like an influencer mum, I'll always ask the questions like, what's the agenda here? Are they being paid off? You just never know. I don't know. You just never know. And that's not me being super cynical, but I like the really good ones, the really inspiring ones. Two that spring to my mind. There's Gemma Atkinson, who's a Manchester girl, you know, used to be...
I've heard the name. I think she's a bit of a celebrity star, isn't she?
Brilliant, mate. She's brilliant. And then a girl called Charlie Launder, who I think is brilliant for like pregnancy work, pre and postnatal stuff. They do share a lot of stuff, like, again, the good, the bad and the ugly.
They're open, honest, down to earth, no bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to mask it for social media. Really refreshing, those accounts. And I think that I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but fill your feed with people like that, with people who are actually no nonsense, not about bullshit.
Yeah.
I think, you know, putting people to your page, like I said, you know, I post a lot of highlight reels. I post some transformations of people who've done some pretty amazing things. I genuinely believe we do some really good work here at R5, but I do think that it can be sometimes for people a bit like, wow, I'll never achieve that kind of thing. It can be almost like too much in a way. But I think your page is great for that kind of stuff as well, like reality, just putting things into perspective and a real down-to-earth look on everything health and fitness related.
No, I appreciate that. And yeah, for me, I've got like a newsletter I've sent out for the past four years called Fitness Philosophy, and it's sort of based on that. You know, I quite like just hitting people with a little bit of realism or just giving them something to think about as well. And I suppose my closing words are more curating your newsfeed, unfollow or mute certain people. You know,
absolutely.
There's nothing better than doing that. You don't have to upset the apple cart.
Those features are there for a reason. Use them. Tailor your feed as much as you can. You'll never get it nailed down. The algorithm will always give you some things, but have some perspective in your life when it comes to your own physique, how much you've actually achieved. Look back at the photos a year ago. Look back at your list a year ago. You know, you are on the trajectory you're supposed to be on. Just have faith, stay with it, and you'll get to wherever you want to go to.
Yeah, and a couple of things I've mentioned here, like avoid using that explore button where you can, especially on Instagram. You know, if you have a look on explore, it's the algorithm just sinking its claws in.
It's always interesting when you get someone else's Instagram and you go and explore.
You can tell, can't you?
Most blokes, it's either like, well, most guys I know, my mates anyway, it's either half naked birds or it's guys with the tops off looking ridiculous. And again, just very, very niche, and you know, the 0.001% of people in the world who are getting those images.
But I think if someone
most of them edited,
there is that. But I think if someone is struggling with that, you know, they're struggling with maybe feeling of inadequacy or just, I don't know, constant comparison. I always say to people, just try and solidify your own self-worth by being grateful for what you've got, and I think documenting your own progress is quite good for that.
That's a great way to end it, mate. Really well said. Guys, thank you for joining us on the Fitness Podcast. We will see you next week.
See you soon.